Good evening and welcome to Gunner Shot. Today I'm going to touch upon a very interesting topic: China's politico military strategy in 2025. It's going to be very interesting because personally I feel that China is in a lot of pain and the writings, everything suggests that there is something on. And we'll analyze it. But before that, uh, these days there are a lot of guys who are coming and trolling on our channel, basically from China and Pakistan. I have no issue with them. The more they troll, the better it is, because then we understand that what I'm talking is sense, and people are generally okay with what I'm saying. If you're on the right side of the world, if you're on the wrong side of the world, like in China, then it hurts. Truth always hurts. But then, it is in this context, I wanted to tell you, or rather share with you, something which I read today. You know, this is something which someone has written. He's from USA. He came, interacted with a lot of military officers, and this is what he had to say. I've given where he said what he said. Understand this. He says military officers who have personal experience monitoring the PLA and responding to its maneuvers are the key pillar holding up India's China watching apparatus. I have both. I have seen China from across the LAC, from the Karakorams to Kibitu. Remember that. One of the things that surprised me most about these officers was their ability to speak authoritatively across the gamut of Chinese affairs. It is very rare to find a military officer in the US who can speak with insight on the Chinese housing market. It is difficult to find a financial analyst who has much to say about the Chinese military logistics. The Indians I met could do both. So we are a breed. We are a breed of people who understand the Chinese. We study China. And let me tell you, long back, 20 years back, I wrote my first dissertation on China. I remember at that time, our defense minister, late George Fernandez, mentioned that China is our number one enemy. And that has not left my mind. Honestly, from my heart, I consider that China is our number one enemy. Unless it can change track. We'll see if it can change track or not as time goes by. But till then, it's my enemy, and it's my business to deal with my enemy the way he should be. For those of you who think all those communists and their propaganda artists who come, look at what's happening in China. This is on second. There was a student who died, and there's a massive cover up by the police and everything, because the people who virtually put him to death were the children of high ranking communist officers. After that, there was a riot in China. That it built, public sentiment built, there's been a riot. By itself, this movement is not important, but it gives a trend line in China of social instability in China, which is increasing. And I'm keeping track of all of them. In a closed society like China, there must be many more. So there's something, boiling underneath. When will that erupt is an issue which we have to think of. It'll come out. It's a matter of time. Okay, now let's talk of China's political military strategy in 2025 and get back to our main subject. What's the global scenario? The Russia-Ukraine war, is it likely to end once Trump comes in? Possible. Let's see. The West Asian scene has completely changed since the fall of Syria. The focus is now shifting to China. Make no mistake. At this point of time, we all know that China is experiencing internal pressures. What are these internal pressures? It's got a flagging economy, which is just not reviving, and it won't revive. Xi has troubles in PLA, whether it's leadership, his equipment, everything. I just uploaded a video on the 6 incapabilities of PLA. Watch it tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. For those of you who are members, it's already on. You can see it. And in this context, I would request all of you to join Gunner Shot as subscribers or members. It will be useful. There's a demographic decline. We all know that, and are irreversible. The property and infrastructure are crumbling. Tibet and Xinjiang are still unsettled. There are problems there. So these 5 internal pressures are major pressures of China. Any politico-military strategy has to revolve around them, and hence Xi has deep anxiety. What are his anxiety points? China is hemmed in from all sides, and it is facing intensifying security threats. There was a time when China was strong and its neighborhood was weak before the COVID. But China's actions have strengthened them. Washington is hostile to them, and there are daily threats emanating from USA. Its relationship with its neighborhood is awful. It has problems with Vietnam, it has problems with Taiwan, Philippines, Japan, South Korea, and all. It has just gone through a phase where it has not been able to force a military solution on India despite putting pressure on the LAC for 4 years. It has been claiming sovereignty over Taiwan, threatening Taiwan, but not being able to annex it. USA is supporting China, or rather China's neighbors in China's backyard. It's also building a coalition, which we know, Quad and AUKUS. Both trouble China. And PLA has got a long way to go before it can become a world-class army, or even win, local wars. Forget about larger conflicts. Never forget that China has not fought a war since 1971 and 9 with Vietnam. And it's got no experience whatsoever in fighting modern joint operations. These are the problems which Xi faces when he has to devise a politico-military strategy. If I were in Xi's place, this is what I would think of. This is what constrains me from doing what I have to do. Then there's Putin's bad example. What if Chinese forces were to fail to quickly take Taipei by force and instead become mired in a Putin-like failure? Now, this is a quote from one of the Chinese analysts. So there's a good chance that China might get stuck in that way if it goes in prematurely. And if that happens, it's not only there. I think it's already stuck in South China Sea. It's getting overextended. In fact, it's not fun to conduct operations 800 to 1000 kilometers away. It's already extended in that area. The more the time goes by, the more the stress will be on China, like it happened with India. There's a spillover effect which China fears. Why? Afghanistan, Myanmar, North Korea, Pakistan, all these are unstable countries. They're either facing external issues or internal challenges. So all these could spill over. Already, China is suffering spillover along the Myanmar border. Just think, if radical Islam enters Xinjiang, either through the Karakorams, the Karakoram highway, or through the Wakhan corridor. Now, all these countries have also troubled relations with USA. China has unresolved territorial disputes with India, Indonesia, Japan, Malaysia, Philippines, and Vietnam. That's quite a handful. All these it has to handle at some point. It might have to handle at some point militarily. That's a huge ask. Okay. In this kind of a construct, let us see what are the 4 fronts which China has to face, or rather China is facing. And this is as per Chinese authors. Right? It's not my thing. Chinese have said this. The first front, of course, is the Taiwan front. Okay? And, where it has to confront US, Japanese, and Taiwanese forces. When you say Taiwan front, it also includes the area to the south, the seas to the south, the Bashi Channel, and the Senkakus. The second front is a face-off against US and South Korea troops on the Korean Peninsula, and combine it with instability in North Korea. That's very dangerous for China. If something happens in that peninsula, one day US troops could be sitting on Yalu, on China's doorstep. The third front is the South China Sea front. Here it faces AUKUS. Not now, very shortly. And of course, the fourth front is the India front. And it has been described in China as a strong Indian military. They're not my words. These words are all from Chinese writings. Okay. Why did I say North Korea? Look at this. China-North Korea relations have not been good. North Korea is now leaning more towards Putin and Russia. And remember, originally, it was Russia which helped North Korea to become a country. Not China. China came in much later. Today, China has a problem controlling North Korea. In fact, I think North Korea is completely, or rather largely, out of grip of China. No more that old bonhomie. Otherwise, this article wouldn't have come in South China Morning Post. Okay. And Kim has fired a hypersonic missile. So the moment he's fired a hypersonic missile, it will create instability. Because tomorrow there can be a retaliation. Any retaliation against North Korea is instability falling into China. So China has got this mega problem. Once upon a time, till 2019, China was on the offensive. Today, there is no choice but for China to be on the defensive. Okay, the Chinese also feel there could be a chain reaction warfare. What is chain reaction warfare? If China goes into one front, the second front could also flare up. And China fears a two-front war. And this chain reaction warfare scenario, which is all often outlined, they say, what if we go anywhere into Taiwan or South China Sea or Korean Peninsula, and India takes advantage of it? They're very worried, right? They're scared to get into a two-front war. And then there are internal vulnerabilities which are cropping up, which we've all spoken of. So if they go into a war, China's good boy image takes a beating. And if it goes into an offensive or war is forced on China, its economy will get stretched. Make no mistake. Now, all these threaten friend Xi Jinping and CCP and their survival. The survival will be very difficult if tomorrow China was to lose a skirmish. That is why their withdrawal in eastern Ladakh was done quietly without keeping the public informed too much. It was said that, look, we want to trade, so we have to get back and all that. But trade is not going to happen in a hurry. We all know that. And that I'll do a little later. The way things are panning out. Now, amongst all this, where everything, Ukraine is going on, Israel, Hamas, Houthi troubles are going on, Syria was happening, and new Trump or new president in USA is coming. All that is happening. When all this is happening, US has done a lot of redeployment. It's brought in new weapon systems into the Pacific Ocean, into the Western Pacific. Okay, it brought in HIMARS. It's got in the Typhoon missile system, which it intends to plonk in Philippines. Chinese analysts fear that a US-Philippine task force is going to be formed because last year they were training. So a task force operating in South China Sea is a headache. There's a nuclear-powered submarine which is now pushed into Guam. Right? Earlier it was not there. All this has happened in the last 1 month. There's a nuclear carrier which has returned back to Japan after refit. George Washington. One nuclear carrier of US is equivalent to all 3 carriers of China. That's the differential. Okay. This is very important. US has conducted a ballistic missile interception test from Guam. Till now, China was saying we'll fire carrier killers and we will do a missile strike on Guam. They've tested exactly to counter that. They've carried out a test 10 days, 15 days back. The shape of things is changing. Now, PLA military, this is from PLA Daily. It says, military click of Japan Philippines will only incite confrontation, which means Japan and Philippines are cooperating militarily. This is again very interesting. The PLA Daily asks a question. Why does US Space Force open a new command center in Japan? It will open a new command center, Space Command Center, because there are space assets there. So the Space Command Center, US Space Command Center, one headquarters is sitting now in Japan. It's a huge force multiplier. And Guam has been turned into a forward base. I will explain this a little in detail. So all this has happened, but let's look at the holistic picture. Part of that holistic picture is USA has given 2 billion worth of arms package to Taiwan. So Taiwan itself is stronger. Okay, now let's look at it pictorially. And I'll expand this whole story so that you people can have a look at it. You don't need to see my face. Here we go. First, what's happened in north of Taiwan? In these Senkakus, HIMARS has been deployed and troops have been relocated to Guam. Why have they been relocated to Guam? So that they are not in the first strike capability of China. They are outside and not committed to a forward island but kept in reserve at the rear. Very important. Movement of reserves dictates any battle. Yeah. North Philippines Typhoon system has been deployed at Luzon. There's a joint US Philippines task force. Okay. And there's Japan Philippines military cooperation, which I spoke of. And BrahMos is with Philippines. So all this has happened. Guam, it is the heart of Western Pacific. It's got a nuclear sub in addition to whatever it had. And troops have been relocated, concentrated, kept there. In South Korea, America has maintained troop levels. Why? There's political uncertainty there right now. Some upheavals going on. We all know that what's happening in South Korea. So the idea is to keep troop levels to deter North Korea from taking any precipitate action. So that North Korea doesn't feel that South Korea is destabilized, I'll enter. There are troops there. In any case, anything happening on that peninsula, it is a problem for China. Earlier, THAAD has been deployed there. And North Korea is also out of grip, which I spoke to you earlier. So if you further go, Japan has got a nuclear carrier. There's a space command put up, which I spoke of. The defense industrial base of Japan is being now reoriented for military purposes. Japan is now being designated or being spoken of as part of AUKUS 2, extended or AUKUS Plus. And there's also a trilateral cooperation between USA, ROK, that is Korea, and Japan. All these are issues which have happened recently, a month and a half max, basically from 1st December 2024. Look at this consolidated. Actually speaking, USA has ring-fenced China and contained it. China faces a new paradigm. And my own view is China sensed this. And they said, the faster we get out of India, the better. Right? So that's how it is. That's the status. Now let's see what has happened otherwise. There are three channels: the Tokara Strait, Miyako Strait, and Bashi Strait, from where China can deploy its navy. All these are plugged in this redeployment. So China's navy is virtually contained and bottled up on the coast. And now all these Trump hawks from 20th will be loose. And these Trump hawks are as designated by China. China calls them Trump hawks, whether it's Rubio or Hegseth or Michael Waltz, John Radcliffe, Tulsi Gabbard, and the trade rep. So happiness. Now, in all this, you have to understand what's happened in India. Don't forget that. China had started 4 years back by saying, teach India a lesson, it failed. Then it started, the next thing. Relations with India are second only to the USA. That's their thinking process. So, but maintain pressure on the LAC and seek bilateral cooperation. That's not also worked in the past 4 years. So, what now? Last one. China needs to solve problem in the secondary front. If neglected, it will land China in a two-front wall, a challenge. Resolve the boundary issue. That's now what they're going through. But they'll not do it immediately. We know that. They'll do it incrementally. But have patience. Why will they not now jump up and down on the LAC? China needs India for its own economic revival. So this is where it is. It can't be offensive here. It can't be offensive in Western Pacific. So what's happening to China? Contained, bottled. So what's their overall politico-military strategy? So let me again expand the slide so that you can all have a look. Their overall strategy will be belligerent war avoidance. And this is a term I coined in 2020 when they came into Galwan. Right? And they'll accompany this with a heavy dose of gray zone activities. The gray zone activities won't reduce. In fact, gray zone activities, in my way of thinking, will be the main way of, operating against their opponents. Gray zone activities, info war, psychological war, show all their new equipment, this, that, so that they bamboozle us. If they get an opportunity, they'll seize it. Either in the South China Sea Islands or Taiwan, Eastern Ladakh, wherever. If they see the opponent wavering, they'll pounce. Right? China being what it is, it will still be offensive in attitude. Their gray zone activities will keep the enemy unsettled, their adversaries unsettled. But let's be very clear. Their first priority still remains Taiwan. Why? For Xi Jinping to survive and to divert nationalism from China away and use nationalism as a leverage to stay in power, it is politically expedient to keep the Taiwan issue alive. They might not be able to take Taiwan ever, but they have to keep growling about the Taiwan option. And they'll keep preparing for invasion. They'll keep telling everyone, we'll do this, we'll do that. They'll do blockades, all that, but they'll not fire a shot. Like I said, Putin's bad example. They have not forgot it. They'll not forget it in a hurry. And of course, in all this, you have to understand Mr. Trump is coming. He's already upsetting the apple cart by saying, I'll take on Greenland, I'll take on Panama Canal, this, that, and all that. That upsets China's apple cart a hell of a lot. And we'll talk of it tomorrow. Why that apple cart, Chinese apple cart, is going to upset. And before the Chinese apples fall, they'll all be rotten. I'll explain that to you. Because you have to understand the Arctic strategy. They have an Arctic strategy, Chinese. They published a white paper also. Now, as far as India is concerned, while they will not do anything direct, all actions will be indirect, either through Pakistan or Nepal or Bangladesh. So, along the other fronts, Korea, Taiwan, and Philippines, they're going to be directly involved. In fact, it's Taiwan and Philippines where they will be directly involved with a lot of gray zone. Korea, they will not. Right now, they are on the watch, defensive watch, because they can't make a move there. Against India, they've withdrawn. They can't come back. Anyway, they've lost that. In my own opinion, China will never attack India. But they'll approach us indirectly. They'll use the strategy of indirect approach through these jokers, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and Nepal. At the same time, they'll seek economic cooperation with us. They'll give some minor concessions like what they've done. Whatever has happened is minor in terms of resolving the border issue, but major in terms of the fact that the PLA has now said we can't hold on to our lines. And they'll wait for an opportunity. If there is instability in our country, political or military or something, they'll seize it. So we need to have a different strategy with them. They'll seek stabilization in the Korean Peninsula at this point of time. Both in North Korea and South Korea. They're not comfortable with it. They don't want to get militarily involved in North Korea. If they get involved in the Korean Peninsula militarily, there is a chance, remote, but it's there. It could happen 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. This strategy is not only 25, it will roll into 26, 27 also. Then all of the bets are off for China. Finished. Then China confronts a completely different picture. They made a lot of gains in the South China Sea and they'll consolidate on them. And my guess, and I would say not my guess, my appreciation is that China will not make a move on Taiwan unless India is neutralized or marginalized, and vice versa. What is neutralization or marginalization of India? Economically. That is where our planners have to be very clear how to handle them economically. Would you like them to invest here and get a stranglehold on your economy? That will be the most stupid thing our government can do. So what do? We adopt the 4D strategy. What is this 4D strategy? You have to defend the LAC. You have to defend the LAC. Inbuilt in defending the LAC is posing a threat across. Pose a trans-LAC threat. Have we done that? I think we have done that already. The very fact that you rebalance a lot of your forces on the LAC opens up options that should China misbehave, you do a pro quid quo. The weight has now transferred. And of course, there is this issue of Tibet. Tibet has got its own dynamics which are playing out. So you could deny the neighborhood through Tibet also. We need to work on Pakistan, Nepal, and Bangladesh. Even Myanmar. Then, of course, diplomacy. Diplomacy, one to one. We need to give them some blunt answers or blunt issues. No more beating about the bush. And let's do some big state diplomacy. How about talking to USA with the new administration on how to contain China together? Let's not mince words. China is not our friend. Let's be very clear about that part. And we need to dominate the seas. We need to dominate the Indian Ocean. We need to do it better. We also need to deny the Indian Ocean to China. Without overreacting, deny bases. If you deny bases, they're cooked. We need to understand this border dynamics, which is very important the way I look at it. See, the problem with China stems back to 62 when they occupied Aksai Chin and other areas, some in some part like Longju in Arunachal, bit in central sector. Then there were post 62 disputes. Then post 2003, they started this claim of Arunachal as part of Tibet. All these are there. These are the things. And post 2020, we are now looking at Depsang, Demchok, buffer zone. All this is the talk we are talking about. We are talking about this. Whereas over the past 40, 50 years, China has shifted the goalposts. And we should be planning for what? For Aksai Chin. If you want to have a secure border, start giving out plans for Aksai Chin. Ask China to return Aksai Chin. Put the political pressure on them. And there are many ways to do that. I'll not dwell on that today. The moment you transfer that, then you see China on a back foot. Right? And largely, this is what I had to say. China is now forced into being on the back foot. Where is this action combined with USA? Or has USA said, okay, now they're reducing or tensions with India are reducing. China will turn towards Taiwan. So let's beef up that place, Western Pacific. And USA has reacted militarily. So it's bottling up. So in this kind of a scenario where Taiwan, Korea, Japan, Philippines, Vietnam have all increased their military spending. There are a lot of defense cooperation going on, everything. And even Indonesia is part of that deal. China has no option but to remain on the defensive and continue with its gray zone activities. And China has a lot of problems internally, as I said earlier. Right, I've done for the day. Let me take some questions and see where all of you take me. Right? Uh, what I've been observing is that there is some change in times. I hope it is not some external interference. No, it is not. I think by mistake, I left it as 8 a.m. It should be normally 8 p.m. only. That's how it is. China has very good infrastructure. I agree with you, but what will it do with its infrastructure? I don't know. Caucasoid and Negroid. Now add to this the Western concepts of racism, casteism, and brute force over centuries. Result today's unrest. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you completely. God bless you, General. Proud of you. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Dinesh. Uh, yeah, did China ever send its officers and soldiers on UN missions? Your views, sir? Yes, they have gone. China has gone. I think somewhere in Kenya and some African countries, Chinese officers are there and men are there. And in a couple of occasions, they've run away. When unrest happened, they've run away. And most of the time, it's the Indian battalion out there which has given them shelter. So that's China for you. Yeah, Amitesh, I'm talking of, the military posture of China, and you're talking of Shanghai, Guangzhou, Shenzhen and Nanjing are very beautiful. मैंने क्या करना है यार उसके साथ? हम तो लड़ाई के लिए तैयार हो रहे हैं. Okay. Next question. Indian Air Force Chief has given his concerns with present institutions for jet production. What are your views? Can you do a video with concerned expert in the near future? Look, you don't need an expert for this. Whether it's a matter of jets or missiles or guns or everything, the problem is unique. Problem is only one. The government of India refuses to move. Maybe I'll do one on how to rectify this situation. I agree with whatever the air chief has said. I mean, let me give you an equivalent. He said, look, it's been 16 years I've given the order for Tejas and I've got 40, not even got 40 of them. He's right. It's been 7 years since we gave the first order for Dhanush. We've barely got 2 regiments. In 7 years, we should have got 7 to 8 regiments. So that's how India is. It's not only there, it's everywhere. Please interact with us more. We need more of your time reaching bigger media stream. I find on many occasions that you're not able to interact with us during stream. Maybe today is the life. No, look, it's like this. When there are others around, I have to be conscious of time and I'm not able to interact. When I have to do things on my own, I have no problem. I can interact with any number of people, everything. If you think that I can do nothing, then what do you think is very bad? Yeah, start thinking to this point and start thinking positively. I do appreciate when you bring out, issues about China and all that and our problems. That is not a problem for me. But let's stick to the point. Okay, is Chinese doctrine based on personal ambition of Z? How far has his legacy will be owned by Chinese deep state? I believe all countries have indigenous deep state. Yeah, that's the thing. China doesn't have a deep state. There's only one deep state in China, and that is Xi Jinping. And their complete doctrine is based on Xi Jinping's ambition. So this is their history, right? When Mao was there, he laid the line. When Deng was there, he laid the line. And the complete political guidance comes from their leaders. When Hu Jintao was there, he laid the line. There's no group think out there. One man show. Okay, as events unfold in China, it is plausible that CPC may consider a change It is possible that back-channel talks are in progress between the Hans of Taiwan and the Hans of China. It is possible that they would spring a surprise on the world at the correct time with a bloodless merger. Your views? Not possible. Not possible. Okay? Not possible with Xi Jinping. You misunderstood Xi Jinping completely. See, you have to remember that everything in China is political. A democratic Taiwan is anathema to China, and autocratic communist China is anathema to Taiwan. So it can't happen. Yeah. Shouldn't we work with a 10-year plan with Tibetans whereby they are strengthened each year, re-strengthened each year to be more and more stronger in their case globally in a targeted and measured manner for definite success? Yeah, I agree with you. First and foremost, your thought is noble. But the problem is we have not supported, let's be very clear, we have not supported the Tibetans enough. And to a large extent, while they're thankful to us, they're realistic enough to understand that India will not help them gain independence or autonomy. In fact, there's a view that amongst Indian people only that we gave up on them in 2008, 2002, 3, 8, that period, right? Uh, it started with Vajpayee ji having that MOU with China when we recognized Tibet. Till then, China was on tenterhooks because we didn't recognize Tibet. For whatever reason, we have recognized Tibet as part of China. So now to unravel that, you need to do a lot of things. And let's be very honest, we have to admit our problems. Our government has not been politically strong and enough to reverse the case. And why is it not politically strong? Because we are not militarily strong. Okay. I keep saying we are strong. Our military has been kept strong enough to defend the territorial integrity of the country, but not strong enough to play a role as a regional power. That's the problem. In light of my earlier question, the Chinese would have access to the Pacific and the USA would have an active problem. Yeah, but I don't think this will happen, Akash. It's the US government will not allow it. 2 billion rupees for ISPR to handle misinformation campaigns at place where no net and social media. Is it funding for chaos? As IMF denied 4 billion earlier and 20 billion. Yeah. You know, I mean, there's a strange relationship between Pakistan and the West. We'll discuss it separately. Don't. Yeah, PLA shall never directly fight with any country. It does not be having the courage to fight. I agree with you. So the Chinese have vacated their forward positions along the LAC. It appears that the Chinese are in talks with the Tibetan government in exile. Possibility of vacating Tibet, nil. I'll do a separate talk on Tibet because there are a lot of events which have happened in Tibet. In fact, if you don't know, today also there's been an earthquake in Gansu, which is, Gansu or Kingai, in one of the, and this is along the railway track and all. We'll know what happens. We'll see. There are issues. Are we serious on reducing our dependency on China? If so, what is the one timeline to implement it as on date? We are not funding our own wars. We are not. I don't think this. Look, for whatever good, bad, or ugly, Mr. Modi might be a great man, but by the third term, everyone starts going downhill. Let me put it this way. So I see this government running out of ideas. There's no fresh ideas. Whatever they talk is becoming a bit stale. I think we need fresh ideas. We need a fresh leader probably to come with new ideas. And that's where the Indian problem is, we don't have a new leader. It's Are we serious on reducing? No, we've spoken about this. Is there any way we can integrate Nepal with us economically to reverse the trend Nepal is having towards China, such as making Indian Therai, Nepali Therai SEZ for manufacturing, for example? Uh, you can do all this, which is a good idea, provided the Indian government and the Nepali government agree. For that, you need stability of governments in Nepal, not India. India has stability. बट नेपाल में 1-1.5 साल के बाद सत्ता बदल जाता है. So only is here after 8 months he'll not be here, or 10 months he'll not be here. Someone else will come, and so there's a problem there. That's the issue. It seems China has learned the lessons from Iran and fighting with proxies. Yes, Iran is one more. Another thing is China doesn't have any proxies. The only proxies it has is North Korea and Pakistan. And both are mavericks and both are independable. You can't depend on them. And पाकिस्तान इज अ डबल एजेंट. जो भी उसको पैसा लटकाएगा वो फौज उस तरीके से चला जाएगा. And they know their past masters are slipping out of the thing. We have USA, European Union, and USSR. What possibility of USA of China? It's already US of China. When China's position is precarious, being vigilant strikes me as a very stupid. Isn't it in India's interest to strike first via proxy, like North Korea? Once China is stuck, India can dictate. I agree with you, but belligerence is a national habit of the Chinese, so you can't get out of that. Right. Please talk of ingress egress routes from and to China into debit. Okay, I'll talk of it sometime. I'll explain. Very good logical reasoning. Thank you. Yeah, is there a ding in the cadre of Chinese leadership? I wouldn't know. Many times these guys don't change after becoming leaders. Xi Jinping was supposed to be a dull, unimaginative kind of a character when he took over. You look at what he's become. He is a Frankenstein of sorts. Sir, a crude question: did China pinch USA? Did USA pinch China first, or did China pinch USA first in the South China Sea? Can't they both keep their hands to themselves? You see, it's like this. It was China which promised USA that we will not build artificial islands in South China Sea. And Mr. Obama looked the other way when they started building. He didn't have the guts to confront them. Part of the reason was USA was stuck in Afghanistan and Iraq. When they were stuck there, these chaps started building. And once they started building, USA didn't have the capability to stop that. Is China still has a one-child policy? Yes. Yeah, what will be our response? Nothing. If they have a one-child policy, no, they don't have a one-child policy, incidentally. They have now a three-child policy, but no one is implementing it. No one wants to implement it. That one-child system is going on. What will be our response? Nothing. Just wait. The population is going to decline. I did a program on the declining population of China. So let's see where it goes. Can China handle Islamic ambitions of caliphate, or do they not see that possibility? You see, it's a very good question. They can't handle it. Let's be very clear, they can't handle it. But what China has been trying is to buying out all these fellows, buy out the radicals. And it's pushed out all Uyghurs. Okay. But after what has happened in Syria, where Uyghurs are fighting there, And the fallout, we don't know which way the cookie will crumble in the West Asia. And China has not had a say in West Asia. And with Trump coming, he'll turn the screws on uh, Saudi Arabia. He will, and Iran is marginalized. So China is also marginalized in complete Middle East. Now that's the vulnerability China has to face, and this vulnerability will be there for the next 2-3 years. And with Afghanistan going, you see, again, this is all related to terror. It's a very good question. I wanted to call General Hassan and talk about it. See, from Syria, HTS, you come down to Iraq, they're still loafing. Jihadi groups are loafing around. Iran, what it is. Okay, Hezbollah, Hamas, Houthis, they're all still there. They're not run away. They've been under check, but they're still there. Afghanistan, a lot of issues coming out of Afghanistan. Yesterday only we discussed it. We discussed Afghanistan yesterday and day before. Pakistan, this belt, and now jihadism in Bangladesh also. We are sitting pretty in between. We know how to handle jihadism and radicalism. We'll do it. Somewhere this will slip into the north. If that happens, China is in bigger problem. Then there's the sixth front. No, fifth front. And this is a front that can only respond with undue force. The day they do that, they'll have problems. This is the interesting part. What will India under PMship of Shankar and MEA under you? No, let's not think of all that. Yeah, thanks a lot, Jayant. Nice to see your comments. What is the impact of earthquake in Nepal? See, yesterday I did a talk with I did this discussion on the Nepal earthquake. I won't say Nepal earthquake, the one which happened in Tibet, in Tingri, with Sandeep Punithan and News 9. When I get that link, I'll put it up in the comment section. Have a look at it. The linkage is not direct. That earthquake has happened. There already 126 people died. But the problem is that other dam which they're constructing, if what happens if an earthquake comes there? And like I said today, just about few hours back, there's been another earthquake at Qinghai, which is northern Tibet. It's about 5.8 or something like that. We'll have to see what's happened there because news has not come out from China. This has come from other sources. So let us see. Because maybe a couple of more earthquakes will convince China to abandon the dam. Can fix internal economy and go on to two-child policy by incentive for people. That two-child policy is not working. The two-child policy was implemented in 2016. It's not worked. So just forget it. What do you see as an alternative to Modi government? Raga, this is my problem. I don't see anyone. This is my issue. I feel that BJP has to come out with someone from internally. And I don't see an alternative to a BJP-led coalition also, which is okay. I have no problem with it. I have no problem with the government. It's that the leadership of ours is little jaded. Yeah. Sent you a mail to meet you. When is it possible for you? Anytime, there's no problem. If it's Chennai, there's no problem anytime. China is occupying Indian land without firing a single shot. So why will they go for war with India? Well, there are issues. They have to go one day or the other. There's no doubt. This is their stated policy. 6 wars which they have to fight. Okay. And in 2013, they put it out of semi-officially. So let's be very clear about it. Will China attack India as it cannot confront US and NATO trying to show its power to the world? See, China will not attack India the way we are thinking it will attack. And I've said how it will attack, how it will orchestrate things. I've written an article on it, and I also done a thing that is coming war with China. That coming war with China, I did that program before the deal which took place at Kazan. Okay. After that, things have changed. So maybe one of these days I'll let a few days go by, because what I'm going to talk of tomorrow with Greenland and Panama and all, we'll have to do a series of what pre-Trump series. Then we'll see how things are going to get impacted and how China will react. Okay. The 2025 is going to be interesting. So we'll wait for it. And 2025 is going to be violent also. That's my prediction. Okay. And that's my individual prediction. There'll be more conflicts than before. Right. I've done with everyone. I've taken everyone's questions. Thanks a lot for watching. Yeah. Yeah. Pakistan analyst Little Brain is saying why India has not attacked China after Aksai Chin County and Ansing. Oh, that's forget about them, bastard. Don't worry. Okay. I've done for the day. Thanks for joining me in. If you liked it, press that like button. And also, I'd request you to, subscribe to Gunner Shot if this is the first time. And very surprisingly, today, I don't see any Chinese trolling. You see, they are also smart. If you notice, they'll come only when, they feel that this subject is something where they can troll. Today, they couldn't have, because they would have had to face what I'm saying. Maybe they'll troll tomorrow. Let us see. Right? But 8 o'clock in the morning, have a look at the 6 incapabilities of PLA. I've done this with Sandeep Punithan on News 9. It'll be up. All members can see it straight away. It's on already. Right? With this, thank you. Good evening and Jai Hind. Till tomorrow evening.